Welcome everyone to another episode of Wildlife Photo Chat Video Edition. Hope you guys are enjoying this. We're getting some great feedback already, and the listener numbers are up already, so that's great. And just do us a favor. Like, the biggest favor any of you can do is share this with like your friends and other photographers that you know. If you guys are enjoying this show and getting some value out of it, and just please share it. Like, that's going to be a huge help for us because we really want to make this show grow, you know?
Definitely.
So obviously got Brad here. Today, we got a fun episode coming up. I've barely shot. I don't think I've touched my well, that's not true. I did touch my camera a couple times in the last week, but not a lot. Brad, it seems like, has spent a good time with some shorebirds. So that's really cool. And then our topic today, it comes from a listener, and so we'll get to that, but we're going to be talking about Nikon Z camera settings. So like how we customize it, just basically a few of the changes that we've done. Neither of us do a whole heck of a lot with it, but there are a few things that I think are helpful, and so we're going to go over that. So that'll be today. On this episode.
Definitely.
Yeah. How's it going, dude?
Look forward to it. Good, man. It's been a week. It's been it's been
you've been
a crazy
shooting a lot.
week, actually. I have, actually. So just to kind of give some people some context, like we're in this like major drought, and it seems like a bunch of parts of Canada are in the same boat. So we've had this huge stretch where we've had like no rain whatsoever, clear skies, which is something, not much wind, and just everything is dry. So of course that's creating wildfires, which is, obviously a very unfortunate situation to happen. It can, obviously be very dangerous for anyone in its path. But as a photographer, as you know your own self, it can create some pretty like magical light. I don't know. I still can't figure out what it is that the haze from the smoke, or the smoke going in front of the light, why it transfers the light into this, like, is not only that it just mutes it nicely, it gives it a glow.
Color. Yeah.
Like it just gives it this like sunset, sunrise, that first half an hour kind of light. So I just been getting out and taking advantage of that in the evenings. So I think the first outing I did at the beginning of the week. I
was just going to say, before we jump into everything you've been shooting, I think maybe, start with you, dude. We'll zip through what I've been doing, because it's going to take time. And then we'll dive into some photos there.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So like, this was like the last time we recorded. So I just got a few like behind the scenes of what we've been up to, and like a few shots like this, just to show like how incredible it is to be here in Newfoundland. Right? Like, what a spot. Exactly. And same thing right now, like if anybody can see the view out the back right here, we're on this cove. There's like crazy mountains in the background. We went kayaking out here the other day. So after that, we went out to Fogo Island, which was not our favorite, but still, look at the scenery. I mean, I gotta say, this is a place that's not our favorite, and it still looks like that. Right. It was just, so that was kind of cool. And then this was the first night when we came out to the West Coast. So we're on the west side of Newfoundland, huge island. Basically, just from west to east or east to west, it's roughly 7-hour drive, something like that. It
might be a little bit more than that.
It depends on where you're going, right?
At least
Ballpark.
Exactly. Yep.
So it's a big island, right? And that doesn't count going to the northern tip and the southern side, any of that stuff. So we got over here to this west side, and we had no idea. We went to this one town called Corner Brook. Pretty big city, decent city, big city for Newfoundland. We went there because I have heard for years and seen there's good mountain bike riding there. And so I got to experience it and do some of that, which was a blast. There really, truly is, because there's not a lot of really good trails elsewhere on the island that are really made for mountain biking. So we went there, spent almost a week staying in this one spot, and we were kind of like, all right, we've had enough here, and let's go further west. And so we ended up at this spot, dude, and we had no idea, man. Like, these islands and the mountains out here are just intense. And so this was like a 5-minute walk from where we parked, and stayed overnight at this one spot. Stayed there one night. Yeah, and then the hike there was pretty intense. And so we're going to go back and do it. But Emily's had a bum ankle for a while from a mountain bike injury. And so we didn't want to push it too hard. So we saw that a little bit further west, about another 15, 20-minute drive, which is basically taking us all the way to the western coast where we are here. There was another hike that was like, I don't know, a mile and a half, not much elevation gain. Okay. And so we decided to go do that. Well, we did that hike, and then as we're coming back, it was an out and back. We see this sign that says extreme hike up here. Yeah. And we're both kind of like, she was like, my ankle's feeling pretty good. And so we look at it on the trail
let's go
app.
Screw it up.
And dude, it's like, all the reviews are like, this is intense. It will challenge it. If you really want to challenge, do it. And I'm always like, you just never know context of like what somebody calls a challenge versus what somebody else doesn't. Because like I've seen it go the other way, like with some of these reviews where somebody's like, this was an easy hike, and you get on and you're like, this is crazy. Like who would call this easy, right? Like the most fit person on the planet.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, we decided to do it. We had a blast. You had to use these ropes. These photos never show the slope the way they really do. Never. Yeah. No. But we needed these ropes to get up, and we go up. It's 1,000-foot elevation gain on it, and then here's me coming. This was going down the other side actually later. Wow. So you can get a little bit of a sense of it there, right? But like this was the view at the top, dude.
Oh, so nice.
Like incredible. We got up there. We were like, this is like Hawaii level coastline, and in fact, we were both kind of like, it might even be like taller. I don't know, but it's
taller. Yeah.
It's right on par, dude. It looked, and the water, like here, just tropical.
It's
like
got
these
that
are
tropical look. Yeah.
These are just phone photos, I did not bother dragging a camera along, and that ship there, which was really cool. We had no idea, dude. Zero idea. We're walking back. I'm like, that's a weird spot for a ship. There's like no harbor back
just
here.
Hanging out. Yeah.
And I was like, I wonder if it's a shipwreck. And sure enough, we came up and read there's a sign there because there's like they like no drones, stay out of the water, stuff like that. Like they have a barrier around it, right?
Okay.
And so anyway, it was just kind of neat to see. I mean, I feel bad that
Mm-hmm.
happened, and it probably sucks
like
for marine life, but it was just still kind of cool to see this like giant shipwreck just
definitely
in that stunning coastline like that.
Right.
Yeah, and then but like that coastline, look at like the views, like there's clouds rolling in, the water looked amazing. This was the view out the other way. Like looking the other coastline there, and then we had to go back down, and this is where we've been staying. This is our view right out the van. We're right on this cove, dude. And then the next day we went out and kayak because the forecasted winds were pretty low. Cool. You could tell it was like in this cove here is totally mellow all the time. But then, right past the rocks, it's open ocean.
Yep.
So
you can see it.
Yeah, we were watching and checking the forecast, and we got out there, and even though it was like super, like from here, it looked flat. You get out there, and it's like, whoa, here we go, and it was fun, and I'm so glad we have that inflatable kayak because it just feels so safe, like safe and sturdy out there, But dude, like paddling up right to the base of these vertical walls that are going, I mean, they're making Cape St. Mary's look tiny. Like,
oh really? Wow.
Oh, dude. These are double, triple, if not triple the height of the cliffs at Cape St. Mary's.
Okay.
100%.
Wow.
Yeah. At least double. Like, just nuts. Well, because you think about Cape St. Mary's, right? It's like, what was it, like 200-300 foot cliff there where we are?
Yeah, down on that point that like you're shooting out. Yeah, definitely there. Yeah.
So
it's like 280 or something like
that.
The
one wall the one thing we climbed up to had 1,000 foot of elevation gain. And you went over the edge of that and it was just like right down, like
sheer drop.
So it's high. They're huge. There was this little waterfall falling out of it in one spot there.
Nice.
And then last night we did a hike for sunset that just a much easier one right by this cove out here. Dude, just walk out the van, go out there, and then like we got to walk to this view. It's just
stunning.
We're so lucky. I'm so grateful all the time that this is what we get to do. It really is amazing. And then we were sitting out.
Oh, nice.
It was not last night, but the night before. We just decided to sit outside here and have like dinner outside, right? So we're just sitting out eating some stuff. Yep. Guy comes walking over, and Emily's like, "Oh, where?" She was like, "Is he going to tell us to leave?" And we're like, "I don't know." And he came over. Classic Newfoundland, right? Guy being the nice. He's like, he came over just to point out the moose that was behind us. He's like, "Oh, it's been hanging out there past couple nights." So I ran in,
cool.
grabbed the 400 with the 2X on it, and so I shot this at 800 millimeter. It was just a nice little scene, nothing special, but that was kind of cool. And then, just a couple of last night at the sunset, I took out. Oh, this was the same night. This was 800 millimeter flying by. And then I took the 28-4 with us last night during that hike. And it's just a herring gull, right? Yeah. But I thought it was cool. Like, I don't know if you see.
Cool to see the van.
That's down there where we were hanging, right? So that was like the view and everything. Nice. Yeah. And then we had this moonrise.
Oh, that's cool.
Right over it. Yeah.
Yeah. But, it's a beautiful spot. It's been on my list to kind of go.
Dude,
like it's a well-known spot for landscape photographers here. Like a lot of them, if they go to the West Coast, they'll go to that area and take like this classic shot that from that cove there. But it looks like a stunning. Yeah, that's the beauty about the West Coast. It's got that higher elevation than what we've got here on the East Coast. It is big. Yeah, definitely it is.
And our original plan was like we were anticipating being in Gross Morn. Was a national provincial park, right? Or something. What do they call them? National parks or provincial park?
Provincial park.
Okay.
Provincial.
So we were planning on being in there because we had been there, I think the first year we ever came up here. And it's, I mean, it's stunning there, right? But
it is,
we stumbled upon this and we're like, there are no people here. Yeah. It's like deserted.
Right.
There's nobody on the trails. And not for nothing, I think this is maybe better views here. So like,
oh, definitely. Yeah, I think so.
It's like, well, we're going to hang out here a little bit more. So we're going to probably try this bigger hike tomorrow. And when we stayed overnight in that, there's a trailhead parking there where we did an overnight. Dude, I woke up that morning, warblers everywhere. Like fall migration, like 3 days ago.
Okay, moving
there was
through. Yeah, makes
black-throated
sense.
green, red start. I forget what northern water thrush. Those are just what I heard, and there was just bird bouncing all over. So,
wow, good.
I might try tomorrow morning to get up and do a little shooting, and maybe actually doing like a behind-the-scenes recording with this new style I've been doing of that.
Nice.
So, that'll be the plan. But dude,
it sounds like
that moose and a couple of those gulls is like all I've shot in the past week because we've just been doing all this other fun stuff: mountain bike riding, hiking.
Well, you've been exploring, yeah. And I mean, the thing is, like, really, the only thing you need to focus on is that fall migration, like those warblers going through, or look for shorebirds. And I mean, like, I mean, you're just enjoying the location, which totally makes sense. And you just came off all that seabird shooting, so a break is much needed for sure.
It was, and it was nice. I really enjoyed it. It's been, I mean, and you get this scenery like this, and it's just, you can do anything in it, and you just want to be out there. You know what I mean? And the weather's been so good, dude. So good.
Oh, it's been wild. This month, this past like few weeks has been just odd for us. It's never this nice for this long. Like we usually get a couple days are nice, then it's crap, and then it's a couple days, but it's just been nonstop. So
and for all of the US based folks, like I'm talking like highs of like mid 60s, maybe touching 70, sunny, nice cool breeze coming off the ocean. Like it's just it is, it's like if I could order perfect activity weather, that's what it is. Like the sun is warm, so you can even play around in and around water and feel okay. The air is cool, so when you get the breeze on you, your skin actually is like cooling. You're not sweating. It just looks nice. It's just like I love being outside in this, dude. And yourself how short those windows are to get weather like that. Although we get to extend it because we chase it around, but even with that, it's just, you don't get this nice that much. And so when you have it, it's like, let's go love it,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, especially here, usually our, mid-July to end of August, sometimes like that first week of September is not bad, but that's just the extent of our like summer. Yeah. That's it for us.
And then
like, usually August is the best. Very quickly too. Like even now, I find our mornings, like there's been this shift where that first early morning is like, in around that 15 degree, like you feel a little bit cool. Like you're like, okay, like even tomorrow I'm planning to take Lily out in a kayak and I'm like,
nice.
Put pants on. I think, I want to get her out for first kind of like sunrise. It's supposed to be like 0 winds. It should be like really nice on the lake. So
that's fun.
Yeah, we're excited for that. But yeah, it's changing a little bit. But yeah,
cool,
it's
man.
Nice weather.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, that's fun. It for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's hear some actual photography. And wait, real quick, I was just thinking about this. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We did the audio only podcast for just shy of 2 years, right?
Yep.
I don't think there was a week or maybe 1 or 2 where either one of us wasn't shooting. That's kind of wild. Like that's amazing. I was just thinking about that, like how lucky again we are that both of us, and I don't mean just one or the other, like usually both of us were out doing some form of wildlife photography every week for the last 2 years, and beyond that, right? That's just while we're recording the show. That's kind of cool, man. And like, a pat on the back to you for being so committed to it and always getting out there and doing it and stuff like that. I mean, for me, it makes a little bit more sense. It's my job, and I get to live this way. It's different, but for you, it's a little different. And like, how awesome that you keep at it every damn week. I think it's impressive.
Yeah, and it's been up and downs. You've heard me in like
for sure
in our group chats. There's times I've been like, and I'm like, and I think it relates to the fact that I do shoot the same things over and over every year. So sometimes that gets to feel a little bit monotonous and uninspiring and stuff. But I try to get out. And, there's times where, I'll have a few days where I don't shoot, and that downtime feels good, but then it quickly creeps in of like, oh, I should go try this, or this change is happening, or the weather, or something in the weather happens, and I want to go try to capitalize on that. So yeah, it's nice to have that kind of hobby or passion that you feel like you can get out, dude. It's we're very lucky that we've got this, because it's true. Like I hear so many people I've talked to like that don't have hobbies. Like they have their job, their family, or whatever, but that's it. Like there's no more extent to that. Like they can't find a thing that they're into, and I feel very fortunate to have this as a hobby for sure, a passion.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So is this the beginning here? Start here?
Yeah. So basically, this was kind of like a new spot for me to shoot. I can't say it's been I've been in the area before, but I've never really shot anything in that area. Actually, my daughter and I were out kind of like looking for driftwood. She's got a bearded dragon, so we're like updating the enclosure. So she was wanting like driftwood in it. So we were on this like driftwood hunt, like all the coastlines all around like, within our area. Yeah. So we ended up going to this one like fairly wide, like fairly long beach. But it was like, it's really rocky, like, like fist size kind of rocks, if not a little bit bigger. And it's just covered with those, and it's on a slant that goes down to the ocean. And so we're just walking along this looking, and at one point we got down to one of the far ends, and we came across like a grouping of about 10 of these semi-palmated plovers. Wow. And like walked right up on them. They didn't move much at all, and like we took our time and went out, kind of walked around them, and they didn't move. So I was like, light bulb moment. I'm like, well, I'm coming back tonight. Like, if these guys are here, because I thought it'd be kind of cool, kind of cool to play around with some of the rocks and stuff that was there. So, I think, I'm pretty sure that this outing might have it didn't have any of the haze that evening. So it didn't. So I think the fires, I don't know if they had just started or
wind direction sometimes.
Too much. Yeah, maybe. So of course I get to this beach, and lo and behold, there's nothing. So I'm I'm scouring everywhere. Like I start from one end, I walk all the way down. Well, that's a lie. I walked down a little bit, got down to where I thought was going to be enough to head down where I figured they probably were hanging out or would be. I walk all the way down. There's nothing. So then like in my typical brains, like usually I'm like, okay, I'm out of here. Like the light's great. I've got to go to the next spot. Like I've got to, like I quickly bail on
Can't
stuff.
Waste an
like
outing.
If the light is really good. No, I know, right? But I've kind of changed my kind of tune with it all. I'm okay a little bit more now with like not getting anything on a shoot and just being, appreciative of being out. So I had walked back up to this main path that was walking along the beach.
Can I interrupt you real quick? I want to ask you about that more.
Yeah, definitely.
Have you had the feeling where you start to notice that sort of ramp up of intensity? Like I've had this where I'm like, I start feeling that little bit of anxiousness about like, oh, I'm not going to get anything. And then I sort of have that moment where I recognize, you know what? Let me just enjoy this. Like it's like a conscious thought. I have to actually think that in my head. And then, dude, the whole body relaxes, and then I'm just like, okay, it's casual, and like does that feel familiar?
100%. Because as I was walking by, I was like, in my head at first, I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to X place. I know where I'm going to go.
It gets hectic.
It's going to be very quick. Well, yeah, because I'm like, it's going to be very quick. I've got about 30 minutes. Like, by the time I drive there, it's 10. Like, I'm calculating everything. Like, it's 10-minute drive. Is that? Like, I'm like, this is going to be such a rush. Is it worth it? And then all of a sudden, I was like, dude, just chill out. Like, appreciate this sun right now. If I go there, I'm going to miss out. It's just going to be, I'm going to be disappointed probably and frustrated. So I'm like, just chill. Something might show up. So anyways, as I'm thinking all this and I'm heading back towards where I parked, I was like, you know what? Like, just go back down on the beach, look around. Like, you might stumble up. Something could have flown in that you didn't realize, like anything. So sure enough, as I'm walking back, I hear, because I'm getting close to these two semi-panel, I'm hearing their little peep sounds. Like, I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, stop. So I noticed them. I had to work my way back up the rocks down to the other side because I want to shoot them. It was all about the backlighting here. Like, I wanted that glistening off the water and just kind of work that whole scene. So, you know, crazy enough, like, these two were skittish. I could tell right away, like, they were getting a bit angsty as I was moving. And the worst thing about this spot, because it was such a slope and it's all these round rocks, you couldn't make like a subtle approach walking because everything was just like a landslide. Like, all these rocks would shift. So, dude, literally, like, I must have been like 40 feet out or something from them. I'm like, totally on my belly and just slow belly crawl.
Oh, ouch.
Just like, and I could, like, the next morning, all my chest, like, I was like, man, I'm so tender from just being on those rocks. So yeah, and so this is a little advice, I guess, for me. Like, so I work a lot of the beaches I work here. I'm sure you've obviously noticed, like, they're rockier beaches here in Newfoundland. There are some really beautiful sandy beaches, but especially where I live, like, a lot of it's rocky. So most outings that I go out in now, right away I put elbow pads on. So they're just like volleyball, like, they're soft-ish padded, like, they're not no plastic or nothing like that. But they're just like an elbow pad, because guaranteed if I get in a spot and I've got to get down low, like, it's painful.
That's smart.
So I've always just got into this routine of just always having them on, and obviously they help out in these types of scenarios. So
now you need a full body
slow
version.
Approach. Exactly, right? Just put on a full, like, football gear or something. But so slow approach. I knew I had time. And I was able to get in at a really good distance. I was using my 500.
Nice, dude.
And just, worked the bokeh. So I had a bunch of different shots where I had them, like, right in the bokeh that was streaming down from the sun. But then what I did notice, so what I started doing is I was like, I like the silhouette. But if I put them just off to the left of it, every time a wave would come in, it would kick up all this bokeh. And these were like, it was a calm water. These are little ripply waves, but because they're bouncing across all these rocks, they were just creating all this bokeh. So it was perfect. So I just was, like, pretty much exposing for the bird. And then as these would come in, like, it would just give me just enough of, like, the sparkle in the background. And I just really loved all those rocks and in the foreground that were catching all the different light and stuff. And it's funny, like, dude, for years I was so envious of, like, you and Emily and everyone down south, like, these beautiful clean beach. Well, I know obviously they're not always clean, but it just seems like this pristine sand and just everything's minimal. And for so long I just, like, I hate shorebirds here. They're just garbage. I don't like all this rocky beach. I just can't make anything. It's not going to look pretty. And, like, the more I've dialed in, I'm like, well, I kind of like it with the rocks now. Like,
dude.
Certain scenes work better than others. And in this one, where there's so much of it, you know, there's like no space in between them. Like it's just all these rocks. Like as soon as they stand up, and a lot of times that's what happens, they end up standing up on them.
Of course.
It just works out so well. And if the rocks are wet too, like you can see in the foreground, some of those were a little bit wet, so they're catching a little bit of that light. So
yep.
Yeah, it's nice.
Well, and vice versa. I've always been jealous of rocky shoreline shorebird shooters, you know? Like, it's always like what you don't have, you know what I mean? Like, yeah,
no,
exactly.
Definitely.
It's like, you know, sometimes for a while it's like, all right, another flat beach, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I gotta say, I do prefer the one where you can see it, like the backlit, just sort of rim lit, exposed on it. I mean, the silhouette is like dramatic, but I just know it's harder to do what's on the right. You know, like it's harder to get that lighting set up because like on the left, you're shooting directly into just the sparkly water out there and it's bright. It's more vibrant. It's just, you got to expose differently for that. And in fact, I think your settings really show, I mean, look at that, right? Yeah. Look at the big difference there, right? 16,000 on the shutter speed there, plus 5.6. You know what I mean? But I want to ask the viewers, like on shots like this, what's your preference? You know, and there's no right or wrong, right? But it's just like, what do you guys like better? Do you like the silhouette, or do you like where you can see some detail on the bird? Yeah. How about you? Like, do you have a preference between the two?
I prefer where I can see more of the bird, like, because I think, like, again, there's a little more thought that has to go into it, and there's a little more subtle play with the light to be able to get both elements in it, where you're getting that bokeh and you're getting that subject, where you're seeing more of the detail in it. And I just think, like, I don't know, like I've done a lot of the silhouette stuff with the bokeh lately, especially this year, and it's kind of like after you, like, when I'm thinking about going out and shooting, I'm like, oh, the bokeh, and I'm going to get silhouettes. So I was and then you do, and you're like, yeah, okay, I got that now.
Totally.
Like, what can I do different? And this is what was happening. I was like, I shot a bunch. I shot vertical. I shot horizontal with it. And then I was like, okay, I've just got silhouettes here. What else can I do? And then when I noticed he had actually just hopped up a little bit and kind of came out of the light, and then I was like, oh, okay, actually, I'm going to play with that, because as the wave came in, I'm still getting that splash. I don't know if you noticed, too, on the left there, you can see the second bird is in the frame as well.
On this? Oh, I didn't, actually. Yeah, look at that. Yeah. I do now.
So he's just tucked in.
He looks like a rock. Yeah,
he does.
That's so funny.
Yeah, he's just tucked in there, yeah.
Well, and I just, again, to point out, like, I feel like this is like, could be anywhere again, you know what I mean? It gets into that sort of like context, and it's like it is a pretty look. I like shooting it. I will never pass up on it. But when you can do this, we're seeing the more of the rocks. We get to see the texture of the rocks, the color of them a little bit, right? And you do get to show off the bird, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
But then you go, and right after that, and you upgrade to this.
Well, dude, this was a scramble. So like, those two birds, they stayed for a while, and I was just lid there, and I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, should I do anything different? And as I was thinking this, for whatever reason, they just left. And I think further out, a couple other birds flew by that I didn't, and I think they just kind of decided to chase them. You've seen that happen a million times. So the light was starting to kind of dim, and they were starting to fade down. I'm like, okay, what do I do? Am I done here? And I'm like, you know what? Just take a stroll. Let's go all the way back down to the far end where Lily and I had seen the group, and just see what happens. So as I'm walking down, a few more birds kind of flew in, and actually a ruddy turnstone had flown out on a rock, and I was almost about to like bolt down, because the sun was just starting to dip down over this little ridge in the back, and I was going to try to line up the turnstone out on the rock with the sun. And then all of a sudden, two of the plovers just like ran up. So there was like different levels to this like shoreline that was going up, and they ran up right on the level that I was walking at. And I was like, oh, okay, they're up high enough now that I can incorporate the sun, because if he dipped down below, there was no way. And I was getting like no sparkle at this point. It was, the sun was too low, and it was so minimal. So dude, so like basically hit the deck, crawled over, this guy walked out, lined up. I think I got like 3 frames off.
No kidding.
No, that's a lot. I got 6 frames, and as each frame, you can see the sun go and disappear.
Wow.
That's how quick it was.
Yeah.
You can actually see the sun, so I've got it with that. I wish he was kind of like looking at camera, but if I'm going to have a shot where he's not, I'd rather him looking at the sun, which I feel like he is. So it was a pretty little scene.
I really love just the lightness of the water there. That gradient is just beautiful.
Yeah.
Like it's brightest
So
kind of like right down the middle here where the bird is. And then that gentle gradient up to there. Oh, it's so pretty, dude. It's really, really pretty. And then is it like it looks like you have a behind the scenes shot next. Is that the same night?
So as I was walking back to the vehicle, sun was done. And again, because of the sloping of everything and where they headed back down that ridge, there was no way I could get close enough to them to then do anything where I could do wider. I had the 500 anyways, but I could just tell I was done. So as I'm walking back, of course, like we've experienced this, sun dips down and everything explodes above, right?
Damn.
So I just grabbed a shot. But that, as you can see, that's the kind of rocky, that whole beach was the same kind of rock. But yeah, that was the light that I was the same night? Fortunate enough to work with. Nope. So this was, I'll call it a failed outing. This was the following evening or the evening before, but this is when the wildfires were kicking in.
Got it.
And it was just like this glow. Like I don't know when this was, but it was like, you know, a good bit before sunset, and I was just getting this really good glow. I wish I could have got closer to this turn. It's an okay shot, but it was just like I went to this one area where I've photographed ruddy turn zones, and that's kind of where my goal's been at lately. And there was unfortunately nothing there, but this guy was in the area, and I was like, I just want to show off like how warm that glow was. And this was like 45 minutes at least to a half an hour before sunset, and it was already this like almost like a pinkish red like tone. It was wild. It was unfortunate I couldn't get a whole lot else, but so then if you look at the go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I feel like this one is right on the verge of being interesting. Like, I'm with you. I feel like the water's just a little too distracting for me. So I think this is another great question for everybody in the comments. Like, do you like that? Is it good enough for you, or is it too distracting? Because I feel like if you get too close, then you're going to get the giant bokeh again. Like, there's probably like a sweet spot, maybe like, honestly, probably like 5 steps closer, maybe. And then you can see like some of that. But again, I'd love to ask anybody in the commenents, like, do you like this, or is it a little too distracting for you?
Because it's funny because so there's these like, I don't know, dude, like almost like car-sized rocks that I'm coming down off of this ridge. So I'm like climbing down them with my head down. This turn is out, and I want to get down eye level with them. So I'm coming down. I'm like, okay, I think I might be close. Took those couple shots. I'm like, same opinion. I'm like, a little distracting. And I had literally had like one other rock to get out on. Then I was into the ocean, and I'm like, if I can get out on that rock, it's going to be sure. Just like typical fashion. As soon as I got on the rock, looked up, gone. I'm like, I'm like, I was so close. But so the next shot was like a failed attempt of showing, so it's tough to see. But if you can see in the background, that's actually what looks like kind of like clouds right at the horizon. That's actually smoke from the bigger wildfire that's happening right now. That's across the bay from where I live. So I did have like this moment where I was like, do I stay? Because if I stayed into like blue hour, chances are I would get some of that glow from that fire. And then, but I was like, the turns are probably going to stop flying. And so I just kind of like bailed on. I did snap that shot, but it's tough without context of story to kind of explain what you're seeing there.
It's so wild. Sometimes I have that mental ability, or like I'm prepared to stay those later times. I'm just like, I'm gonna ride it out until the bitter end, right? And then other times I just don't feel it. Other times I'm just like, like I know maybe something will happen, but I'm like, whatever. So it just depends on my mood sometimes, or what I got going on the next day, or whatever. You know, it's just sometimes it's hard to commit,
right? And I just, for whatever reason, talked myself out of it too quickly. And I think, in theory, I think I may have been right. I think the activity, because I've been out there enough times now that once the sun does actually set, these turns kind of like move back in towards the cove, because that's probably where they're going to, roost for the night or whatever. So they're not hanging out way over the ocean. So I think that's probably would have happened, but who knows?
And then real quick before we move on to the next set, because I guess there's a little bit of the wildfire stuff, but
there's one more image from that set.
Okay, all right. But I just want to ask anybody watching if you happen to know what it is about that. I mean, I'm guessing it has to do with something with the smoke being in the air and reflecting the light and stuff like that, but like why it does give that glow, and why I'm more curious of why it shifts the color, like because it makes the sun so that orangey, reddish, almost rosy color way earlier than any other night. You know what I mean? Like sometimes we've seen multiple hours of that orangey glow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
And so I'd love to know a little bit more of like a scientific explanation of that, and I wouldn't be surprised if somebody smarter than me is watching and knows that.
I would love to know too. Definitely. Yeah, for sure. So I grabbed this quick. So I was leaving, and I spotted this. So as I was driving back out from this like estuary ocean, runs into this like one little pond, then it turns into like a stream. There's a lot of ducks that hang out in this little spot, and but this greater yellowlegs was there, and I kind of loved the foliage that was around it. Yeah. So I quickly switched to the 100 to 400, kind of got in the water, kind of creeped out just a little bit. Nice. I was hoping to get. So I creeped out a little ways. I thought that area was like more shallow, and then quickly within like 2 feet, I was like, oh crap, I'm gonna go over the rubber boots I had on. I'm like. Again, one of these lazy moments. I'm like, do I go back, get the chest waders on? Because I had them there. Because really, I would have actually loved to have gotten closer, because even above him, there was like some nice spruce trees. Like there was more
this is
kind
really
of
sweet, though.
It is. Yeah, I like it.
I love the rock is like
more of a...
It's like it's there. It's like, this is where you perch.
Barely.
Yeah. No, right? It's just like, this is where you belong, right here. It looks like a stage setup in that regard. Right. And I got to say, I like what the 1 to 4 is doing for the background. This is where that does get interesting sometimes, where sometimes less shallow depth of field gives a little bit more interest. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
And I know it's maybe sometimes not as dreamy, but it's like the context that comes with it, and just like it's just like the right amount. I really dig it.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and that's one thing I was not sure with that lens at first, but I do agree. Like, if you're going to shoot those wider kind of environmental scenes, like, why would you want it totally blurred, like totally soft? Like, you almost want that little bit of texture in there.
Yeah, some more detail. Some versions it work. Some others it's like, maybe more blur would be better. It's different for everything, but when it's pretty like this, it makes sense. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, so I just kind of grabbed that one and that was it. So then, so this was...
Wait, is this all... Is this like all one outing? Like all this next stuff? Like that's all one outing?
All one outing, yeah.
Look, I just want to point out the diversity here. But go ahead,
But this just goes back to what you had just said, where you've seen conditions where you get golden light for like multiple hours.
Yeah.
Dude, I was out for 2 hours. So this first shot...
Wow.
With the lighter, and you're seeing all the bokeh. So this was taken like pretty well close to 2 hours before sunset.
Damn.
And the glow was just so pretty. And my plan was, so this was back at this little estuary, and there's like multiple little like section off ponds. Like it's a nice little area to kind of work. Like there's different kind of environments you can kind of work in, and depending on the water levels, because everything's fluctuating, the shorebirds could be anywhere, and then there's different shorebirds. So I was so that first shot was down at this one little beach that kind of faced out to the ocean. There were a couple semi-palmated plovers there. There was like a family. There was like a mother with like two of her kids kind of on that little beach at the time. And as I was walking past, I was like, okay, I'm not going down there because everything's probably flushed. I looked down, I'm like, oh, the plovers are running towards where I am because of this child is running around. So I'm like, okay, here I go. Jump down, crawl down some rocks, lid down, and she basically drove them right to me. So I was like, perfect, that worked out. And then, so I moved over then to the pond in behind the ocean, and there were a bunch of greater yellowlegs. It was a tough spot to work.
Yeah, I can say.
I belly crawled into one area, and it's like the background shoreline was too close to them. Like they were really in this small little pocket. And then, so I couldn't really get that cleanish background that I wanted. And as soon as they would stand up, you were losing any of the bokeh light, and then it was exposed. Like it was just a hard exposure. So I waited till one actually was hunting, and he was down into the bokeh. But again, it was just wild to see all those. Like this looks like golden hour first, like 10, 15 minutes of light, and this is still like an hour and a half before sunset.
Oh, it's amazing, dude.
So then I left those guys, and there was like 20 or 30 greater yell legs in this one spot. Like it was like, it was too bad I couldn't have worked it a bit more, but
you can just tell sometimes,
so I left that.
Right?
Yeah, it's just every other direction I was looking at just wasn't going to work. I had thought about wading out into the water, looped around another side, and I'm like, it's just so mucky. As soon as I would step out, I started to sink. I'm like, you know what, this is just not worth the effort right now. I want to go back. I was going to go back and check that beach where I found the plovers at first, or go for ruddies.
Well, and I think it's a great lesson, Brad, for everybody watching too, of like, just because there's a lot of birds there doesn't mean it's the best place to be, And I know I've totally made the mistake of, I'm going to go find something better, and then you don't, you know what I mean? So like, and I don't ever know how to answer. Like people ask me like, well, how do you know when to stay versus when to go? And it's like, I mean, you're never going to make that answer right 100% of the time. But if you're in an area and you're trying certain stuff and you can just feel that it's like, it's not going easy, or you can't see the potential there, sometimes it's worth it just to go and try and find something else. Cause you're just going to be like taking a bunch of frames of stuff that you're going to probably not love, and then try and like maybe edit into something versus just going and like getting a better photo,
Yeah. And for me in this case, and in some in other outings as well, like for me, like that light, the way it was shifting, it was slowly going that direction to the right, which was then I'm going to start losing it more into this little pocket that I was shooting. So I'm like, anyway, this isn't going to get better than what I've got. And any other angle is either not worth the effort right now, because I'm probably going to get something better somewhere else. So it's worth the gamble of leaving all those birds.
I love the look of this stuff. Yeah. This is where I think the rocks are even like more interesting. Is like more playing with light and dark and depth, and like I feel like it's a compositional, like it's a blast. Like there's so much potential. Even though I'm sure it's super frustrating and hard at times because they move a lot.
Definitely. Now the beauty about this one little spot, so as I came back past that little beachy area, I take a trail that kind of leads out and goes out to this far point. And that's then when the tides are right, there's like an exposed area with seaweed, and there's where ruddies are hanging out and other shorebirds. But as I was kind of heading towards that trail, there was one little small exposed like rocky area across from the beach over this little stream. And then there was like, I think it was 4 semi-palmated plovers were just there, and they were super rested. And I'm like, I'm going to try them. I'm like, I bet you they're going to kind of fly because they've got nowhere to really to go. And it was ditch the bag I had on, 500 in hand. In hindsight, I wish I took the 1-4, and I'll tell you why in a second. But so I started like basically knee crawling through like brush, then got to the edge, then got down, belly crawled over all this jaggedy crap rock or whatever, like just hurt in every move. But
you got to be so bruised.
Yeah, luckily they stayed, didn't flush at all. And to my surprise, as soon as I got down, like I said, they had nowhere really to kind of go. They just came like right at me within like literally, dude. Like, yeah. So he came even closer than this. This is like pretty much at minimal focus that I could get. He then came closer. So I had to back up, shift up, and get in the water. Luckily, I had my chest waders on. Half my body's in the water. So I'm still being able to get some of these shots. And this is what I love. That there was a few areas that had this like super vibrant green, like, I don't know, it was like algae or kind of whatever it was, like some type of seaweed or whatever. It's just stuck to the shoreline there. So yeah, it was just a blast. Like and that light only lasted so long because there was like a ridge behind me. So I was just catching the last bit of light, just kind of glowing.
So good, man.
So it was just a nice set.
It sure is. Do you have a favorite
with there
out of these 4?
for whatever reason, the one on the top right,
Same.
I just like his look or something. And and just a little hint of green, but then everything's nice and dark, rocks in the background getting hit. There's just something about it. Like, part of me wished I could have got like lower, and that's one tough thing about these locations. Like, you've talked about it many times. Like, so when you're at a sandy beach, you'll often like do what I've done too, is like move all the sand, bury the lens down in. Well, here it's like grab a rock, grab another bait. I mean, it's just too much, and then you're just moving stuff. You're making too much movement.
But what do you think you're getting out of this by going lower on this shot? Like, what are you going to get?
Oh, I don't know. Like, I just was like maybe even just a smidge more dreamier look, like just a hair more. I don't know. I'm just very nitpick.
Yeah. Because I don't mind the stuff that's in focus, like the little pebbles here and a little bit of the green. I think it works. And like, it's all like amazing. But yeah, this is a standout to me. So again, commenters, like, do you have a favorite? You know, 1, 2, 3, or 4. Yeah, because 2 stands out to me. I really love number 1 as well. Like, compositionally, I think that one's really fun. And then that bright green one as well. But then, I can see what's coming up here. So
then in this grouping again, so like there's a hawk in the area as well. So he's been like kind of stirring things up. So like they were super chill, and all of a sudden they just decided to fly. So they went across over to that other little beach area. So anyways, grabbed my bag, waded into this little stream that I thought was like, I thought it was only going to be just like maybe to my waist. Dude, it was like right to the edge of my chest, where I'm like holding the bag up. I'm like, some people were like sat up on like this like little rock up on the air. I'm like, these 2 older people, I'm like, they must think I'm crazy. Like, why is this guy wading out?
It's so fun.
But anyways, I just didn't want to waste time. So I waded in, cut across, and then dropped my bag, went out, got into the ocean, and looped around, because I knew then that I'm still getting the last bit of light. It's going to hit all those rocks. They were in a perfect area. The tide had just gone out enough that like left all these rocks wet. But they were kind of forging in there. So I went out into the ocean and worked my way back in towards them. And I got a couple like really nice looks where they're just like coming through the rocks and just everything. I love... These are my favorite types of images. Like, I love light play, like when things bounce off stuff and you just can't control what you're going to get. It's just going to be unique. If I shift a little bit one way or another, it changes everything, and it's just so much fun to shoot in. I've got a bunch of different images from them. You really do, so they hung out in that spot for a little bit, and then I decided, okay, I think again, like I said, hawk. Yeah, found a turnstone. So I think the hawk came and flushed those again. Like, it wasn't anything I'm doing, because they were super chill with me. So I was like, okay, done. Waded back across that little stream, headed out to the end point, and as soon as I got out there was just the lone one ruddy. So I'm like, and this is what's amazing. Like, this is all within, like, even when I found a ruddy, I'm like, oh, still got an hour or like 45 minutes. Like, there was still a crazy amount of light. So one evening prior to this, I had tried to kind of like walk out over this seaweed, big rocks, kind of get out to them in that manner. It's so slick and slippery. You're kind of like, you can't do it stealthy. So my approach this time was like, okay, I'm going to kneel down and kind of kneel out and slide over rocks. And it was, dude, by the time I was done this session, I felt like, and I think the air quality too, like I have asthma, so I think the air, this is like when the smoke haze and stuff. I felt like I had ran a marathon. I was so spent. Anyway, so this ruddy kept like bouncing around on the big rocks, like just out in front, and just gave me like a bunch of just great looks with the glistening light off the water in the background. So I was going to ask you with this image. So just go back. Does it bother you that split through?
No.
Because of the dark rock? I always wonder. I've done a couple of these types of shots. I like them. I just wonder if like it kind of cuts the scene. I think I really like seeing that foreground.
I mean, I think it totally makes logical sense. I mean, I see what you're saying. I guess if it was like, I feel like if you had like black all right to here, and it was just like the one little one down here, I think I'd feel like it's like not enough, agree. And I'd probably say like cut it, right? But when you have like a nice chunk on both sides, I think it holds up. And in fact, it sort of almost breaks the thing into thirds. You got the light chunk up top, the middle dark chunk, and then the bokeh down in the bottom again, you know? And so for me, it totally works. Yeah, I don't mind it. And I actually like what the pattern is doing on the bottom more than I do at the top, just because it's like more fascinating and interesting. And I'm glad you put the bird higher in the frame to get more of that, you know? Yeah.
Yep. And it's funny you mention that, because exactly what I saw in camera, I had him hot, like everything else, more the bokeh up front. I'm like, okay, it's just your typical. And I think at one point just dipped the camera down for a second. I was like, ooh,
saw it. Yeah.
Flipped. I'm like, that's interesting. I'm like, okay, I'd rather that.
Dude, and your settings are maxed. Below. 64 ISO, 32,000th of a second shutter, f4. So like it was right on the verge of any brighter light on the water, and you were overexposing unless you had to close down the aperture.
This is why I did that, because I didn't want to close down, because I liked the shape, the bigger shapes of it. I knew if I started to close down, I'm going to make them tinier, or what, not tiny, but smaller. So I left. Pushing limits, Ray. Pushing limits.
Yeah, man. No, and I like this one with the foot up. It's all about the foot up, right?
So this was like one big, huge rock. It was just like flat with no real texture, nothing. He had landed on the far end of it, and I'm like scooting over. Like every time he'd move, I'm like, oh shit, okay, I got to move too. I'm like with the 500, holding it up over the water and scooting over these rocks. So when he got down on that side, none of the light was kind of lining up, and I'm like, oh, if he walks back up, like I could visualize, I'm like, I just want this straight line from the rock, or fairly straight, and just him kind of like doing, and get a foot up as he's coming through the bokeh. And sure enough, I got one frame with the foot up just right. So I was I was pretty happy. Yeah, I was pretty happy with that.
Yeah, because you need it high enough to get the separation there underneath of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because if not, you like get a toe intersecting, and then it's just like the not full shape. And it doesn't count. Delete.
Exactly. It doesn't. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And then can't get away from those turns. I can't.
Well, I mean, so then he. Yeah, I think at that point he kind of flew off. Another group of shorebirds came, so he went with them. And I was just about to leave and saw the turn down on a rock again. I'm like, let's go try, because the light was so good. Got down, that one flew, but as I was already set and pre-focused on that rock, I looked up and this guy was zipping through.
Nice.
I just pointed up, shot, and got him. I wish he was like center, but that's just nitpick. But I just loved I always love. It's almost to me like a light on a stage or something.
Yes,
it's just this, like the way the light kind of cones out like that. Well, I really, really like it.
And whenever I get that with more of a portrait situation, I can't help but always go vertical, because I love extending it down. You know what I mean?
Me too.
And I get it when you're like flight shot, you're just like, there's no time to think and play around on that. Unless there's like a ton of flight, and then you recognize like, oh, I can start shooting vertical flight shots. But most of the time, the flight's going to be horizontal. But and a wide open fast aperture lens does something to, like, I love I actually like how the shape changes on the edge into the little football shapes, and like it makes it feel like a swirl to the center a little bit. And I agree. It's a nice look, man.
I agree.
Color's intense.
So if you look at the last image there, just to give context. So that last turnstone, that was on that rock.
Oh, sweet.
So the ruddy was on that rock that's in the back that's hitting the light there, so you can see how he was just going back. So it's just bigger rocks. I'm in the water there, like I'm, almost up to my like waist there kind of thing. And it's just those big rocks. So this, so when the tide is lower, all of this up to those rocks becomes exposed.
Oh.
And it's just like seaweed and other rocks. But I love timing it when it's about there, maybe a little bit lower, because the turnstones only have so many places to go, and they love just bopping around these rocks, so I can just sit back and go back and forth and line them up. When it's like super low, they're climbing around in all the seaweed. It can get a bit too messy, and they've just got too much place to kind of roam. Yeah,
no,
so
that
it's
makes
been
sense.
a blast, man. Like I said, it's just been, and if you look like all that gray, like darker kind of cloud in the back, that's actually the smoke.
Oh, gotcha.
So that's actually the fire haze that you're kind of getting there.
I think we had some out here yesterday. The sunset it looked like that. You know, it just didn't look like clouds. It looked like it was like that defined line that's just right, and the sun burned through it just a little bit. So.
Because there's a big fire in more central, like going more towards you now, so that could have potentially been from that. So
yeah, no, that makes sense.
But yeah, it's been fun. It's been a nice
I know,
week.
dude. And like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like in the last maybe like 3 years, you've been really like. Did you always hit the fall shorebird migration thing the same way, or you always went like more lakes and internally instead of like coastal, right?
Yeah, and it's only been like the past like 2 years maybe that I've really taken full advantage of like the area I live in. Like it's just all of a sudden like a light bulb moment, which I don't know why, but I guess I avoided evening shoots, and I guess going out a few evenings just with family and walking around, I'm like, wait a minute, like there's tons of shorebirds like right here. This can be shootable, you know, accepting the uncleanliness of like a beach in my head and just like taking on the rocky ragged kind of coast. So yeah, like I've gotten like, even those semi-palmated plovers, when I start saving out some of the shots, I'm like, oh, I hadn't shot one since 2023.
No
so
kidding.
Like this was going on 2 years. Yeah, because I just never tried. It was always lake stuff, which is usually like lesser yellow legs, greater yellow legs, a few other species, but
totally.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you switched, man, because you're getting some amazing stuff with it too.
Thanks,
no doubt.
I'm
sure you are.
Thanks. I'm loving it.
Yeah, maybe let's switch to our wildlife photo chat challenge and just kind of update everybody on that. We realized that the last episode, the timing of our recording and all that, it's just a whole thing we're trying to figure out, right? So it's going to be next episode by the time we get to choose something, because that previous one isn't out yet with the way we're recording, and we're going to actually switch our release date for these episodes. We're going to put them out on the same day that we're recording, so that way we can sync things up a little bit more with our challenges. But for today's challenge, exactly. So for this week's challenge, we are going to do another one. So you can see the wait, let me point the right way, this way. There we go. You can see the hashtag right there. Wildlife Photo Chat Challenge is the hashtag to use on Instagram. Again, we're only doing Instagram. Last week we did high key, so this week we're going to do low key because our topic today is just more about camera stuff. There's not really a connection there, but if you go back to our second episode, we did talk all about low key stuff there. So go ahead and watch that if you want some tips and suggestions on how to achieve that. But go ahead and use the hashtag on all of your low key images for this week's challenge, and then it's going to be 2 weeks from now that we're going to choose it, because Brad and I actually record kind of a buffer episode in between when we record and release, so that way we can keep things going out. So it's basically going to be 2 weeks before we actually are able to choose the photos and start sharing them. So sorry about that. We don't have the ability to pick from last week, but we kind of didn't realize that at the time. So bear with us as we figure this all out. Right? Yeah, definitely.
Look forward to seeing them.
Yeah, for sure. So with that, let's get to our camera thing here. So give me a sec. I just got to move my camera. And we're going to be using just the Z9 to show all these camera settings. But, I mean, most of this stuff here is going to kind of go for all the Z cameras, all the Nikon Z cameras, or at least most of them are going to have kind of similar settings and stuff like that. And so today's topic actually came from a YouTube watcher. It was, I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce it, but I'm going with Coyle, C-U-Y-L-E photo. And they said, love the new video format. Thanks. And they said, would love to go to one of their workshops one day. Awesome. That'd be great to have you along. And then the question was, or the topic suggestion is, they said, I know it's more tech related, but a deep dive into shooting and custom modes on the Nikon Z cameras would be interesting to listen to and to learn. And so, we thought that would be a fun one to try here. And so, yeah, we got this setup right here. I got my trusty Z9 here, all beat up and messed up. And I think we'll just kind of go through like the top thing here. And I got to ask you right off the bat, dude, do you ever use these shooting banks?
No, never.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Yeah. Me and Emily have one set up in the custom shooting ones on her Z8 just because we use that camera back and forth. But on my own cameras, I've never really found much of a use for them, you know? And it basically
so you're
like
banking
it sets
each other's settings.
Yeah, so like I don't
on
shoot
hers?
back button,
Yeah.
and she does shoot back button, so it requires changing a handful of settings to get it back and forth.
Yep.
And so instead of having to go in and go, oh, which one is, and change all of them, we just have like she has a menu bank, I have a menu bank for the custom settings, and then we just switch back and forth, and it changes everything, right? So that makes sense. But like, I've always felt like for the most part, if you're shooting a certain way, like you're not changing like a whole bunch of settings. So I don't see a big need for that.
I can see maybe like if you're someone who does multiple genres of photography. So if I do landscape and then if I'm doing wildlife and I don't want to mess with it, or in studio stuff, just something quick maybe. But that's the only thing I can see. Like even then,
yes.
Like,
I use my camera the same way. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't use any of that stuff. I mean, I don't know. Let's see. Image area, quality settings. Yeah, we're on RAW, you know. I don't think there's a lot I change here. I'm going through ISO sensitivity. That's where I do go auto ISO.
Play around with it.
And yeah, here's my settings for this. Like this minimum shutter speed is the key for me, right? And that's tied into aperture priority. And so I had it set at 1600 because I was probably shooting some flight stuff is like the last thing I did. But my go-to for me is like 500th of a second for like walking around. Do you have like a go-to walking around shutter speed that you set?
250.
250? Yeah.
Is usually, and and I think you're probably going to say this anyways, but like there's no like golden thing for this. Because I think like, because even for me, I'll start 250 because I'm like, look, it's either, you know, pre-sunrise or something like that. I'm not shooting flight and in-action stuff, so I'm just going to shoot straight portraits. Then as the light gets better, then I'll go back into that ISO thing and then change my minimal shutter speed to put a little bit higher.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. When I start early in the morning, it's definitely going to be lower, or I'll just go manual because I know I'm probably going to be playing with it too much. But if once the light hits a certain point, for me, whenever I'm shooting this kind of stuff, and for me, this is usually like warblers, songbirds, and stuff like that in the forest. At that point, like 500th of a second for me is like just the sweet spot, right? I don't feel like I need anything higher than that.
No.
So like for warblers, you know? And for most things, non-action related. So for me, it's like 500. I don't have to even pay that much attention when I'm shooting. I'm going to get a sharp photo. 250, I got to be a little bit more solid and make sure I'm holding slow. But, you know, as you guys have all seen from both of us, we're happy to go lower than that.
Definitely.
But anyway, that's it for me. And then I let my max go up to, I don't know what you do. I do 16,000 is like my max ISO on that range. I rarely get there, but, you know, I'll let it roll up to
mine's
that.
only at 8.
Yeah. So half of that. Yep. So that's that setting. Let's see. And then
what do you normally set your base ISO? I saw there that it was 400.
Yeah, so I never really set it here because I can always just, it's the same as whatever is up top here, right? So if I press my ISO button up here, like that is my base there. And I will say though, a lot of the times by default, I'm at 400 unless I'm shooting in really bright light, right? But because here's my thinking. If I'm all right, follow me on this one, folks. This is a tricky mental one.
Let's see. This is a deep dive.
This is the deep dive, right? Yeah. This is the thing that I find the hardest to explain to people, but I think it makes sense to me. So let's see what you think, Brad. Okay. So I'm in aperture priority. So the minimum shutter speed is 500th of a second, right? In order for the shutter speed to automatically get bumped up higher than that, it's got to go down to whatever your base ISO is before it will go up. For me, 400 ISO, and again, we're talking like warblers and songbirds and things in the forest usually. That's when I'm using this the most. For me, the difference between 400 ISO and 100 ISO is negligible in the quality of it, right? So I set it at 400.
Z9.
Yes. and Z8 and Z6iii, like all my Z cameras. So I set it at 400 so that the camera doesn't have to go all the way down to 200 or 100 before it starts bumping that shutter speed up. Because even though I said like 500th of a second I'm comfortable with, well, why not take a higher shutter speed if I can get it sooner? You know what I mean?
Definitely.
And so in a lower light condition, I'm forcing the camera to start potentially getting that higher shutter speed if I'm in a brighter area than having it go all the way down to 200. And I'm not shooting high dynamic range stuff. If all of a sudden I'm in a scenario where the lighting got real dramatic, or I'm shooting backlit or into some bokeh, then I will cancel that. I usually will just go manual, or I will lower that ISO because I know I want the 200 or the 100 or even 64 to give me more dynamic range. So I will change on the fly at that point. But again, all I got to do is tap my ISO button, roll it down. Like, I don't even have to go into the menu to do that. You know, to change that base. So that's my thinking on it.
And it's totally makes sense. Yeah. Cause I've been I've been in those scenarios at first when I used to start playing around with it, and I'm like, you know, like if I set it at like 64 ISO or something like that, like the lowest I can kind of go, and it's like, but it rarely is going to get down to that. So my speed is never going to change. I'm like, so I've quickly realized too that I'll set it somewhere around there as well. Just so that way I'll get that extra bit.
That's what I see from everybody. Almost everybody using auto ISO, their base is always like the lowest the camera will do, which logically makes sense, except for that part, right? And so I just try to cheat that shutter speed to give me more, because why not? You know? I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah. White balance I actually use auto. Oh, I thought I used natural light auto, but maybe I didn't set it on this one. Yeah, so I'll switch it to that, because I usually like that. It's like a little warmer. By default, but who cares? I'm always changing after the fact anyway.
Yeah, I'm always tweaking.
I do have my picture control set really low, so it's on this flat neutral one, and I've gone in there and actually like taken the sharpening down to like, you know, 0 and mid-range sharpen. Like, I've changed all this only because I have used pre-capture. Pre-capture is JPEG only, and those picture control settings get applied to the pre-capture. And when I had it on like the default, like whatever the default was, like the auto or standard, whatever it was, it was like, to me, it was so contrasty and over sharpened. Really? It looked crunchy and nasty. So I don't like that. But it's funny because those same settings apply to your viewfinder. So when I'm looking through the viewfinder, my viewfinder looks flatter than everybody else's. Like, it looks weak. It looks not sharp. Like, I look in anybody else's viewfinder and I'm like, ooh, this is nice and vibrant and crisp.
Punchy. And
it doesn't change the raw file at all, right? It's just the embedded JPEG preview in the raw file. So it doesn't actually change what I'm shooting for 99% of everything. But yeah, have you ever messed with the picture control?
I haven't, but I know it's probably been messed with since I bought this camera from M.
I don't know that we ever did, because I don't think she ever did pre-capture.
I've never checked.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
I've never checked. I normally don't mess with it.
Yeah.
I usually just leave it as
color space. Again, as far as I know, that doesn't matter because it's not applicable to the raw file. Active delighting, I think it's supposed to give you more dynamic range on a JPEG, but again, I don't think it applies to RAW as far as I'm aware. Long exposure noise reduction, I don't do that. High ISO noise reduction, there you go. But again, I don't think any of this stuff applies to RAW files as far as I'm aware. I think it all applies to the JPEG preview that's embedded in the RAW file, but that's not what you deal with when you're in Lightroom or any other editing software. So vignette control, I do leave that on because that is, I think, nice. It I think it helps clean it up, and
just a limit.
I weirdly do think that does get applied into Lightroom and Camera Raw, but I could be wrong on that. So yeah, some of the stuff, like, we're far from experts, guys. So like, you can tell.
Well, I find sometimes, like, there's so many settings, there's so many things that are just like, not saying insignificant, but I think like we're going to tweak some of this stuff that I think in cameras doesn't make that big of a difference.
Yeah. And
that it's not something you could correct after.
Yeah. This will take forever to go through every menu. So I'm just going to go through and talk about the stuff I've changed. The metering, I'm on Matrix like pretty much all the time. I don't think I ever change it ever.
No, same.
Yep. I know spot metering used to be really good for like some DSLR people, but I feel like now that you can see in the viewfinder, like who cares? And to me, the problem always was with spot metering, it's so sensitive to wherever that spot is. Like I don't want my viewfinder exposure just like bouncing all over the place. Like if I pointed to a dark rock or a light spot in the background, it would just, your exposure would go all over, right?
All over, yep.
Yeah, so I'd rather have the thing. Autofocus continuous 100% of the time. Never change that. Right?
Yeah, I never change it.
Yeah, exactly. The AF area modes, I get to them through the custom eye menu, but and then subject detection. This is the tricky one there, right?
Yeah. As we've learned.
I have it on bird because I feel like bird has been doing better for flight.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. I feel like flight stuff, I've been noticing a little bit better there. But for everything else, I've been shooting animal. Yeah. So I do need to do more experimenting with that. But watch my video
I found
on that.
animal's been working. Yeah.
Dude, it's great, right?
Yeah. I found a big difference.
We both think animal works better for birds than bird. That's the whole thing there, right? And I'm just trying to see if there's anything else that I change here. I think, that's it. And auto capture, when I have done that, I have it set for, I don't know, what is it? I didn't even know they had that.
Yeah, click there. Yeah, you got a preset done.
Yeah, but then where do you get the options? I guess it's just on the top of the camera.
If you click on that one, it should go in, no?
No, that was pretty much, there you go, view settings. Oh, this is, this is auto capture.
Auto capture?
Oh, I'm thinking pre-capture, sorry. Yeah. Auto capture. I didn't even know they had presets for this. Did you?
No, I haven't really messed with it.
Yeah, I had no idea. Okay. So then you can have a bunch of settings there. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Apparently I set one up and didn't even know it.
Well, it's not something you use all the time. I mean, it's very unique situation. So
in the interest of saving time, I'm going to skip the video section and we'll go down here. Let's go to, there we go. Focus. All right. So, do you ever mess with this or know about that at all? The AFC priority?
No.
Okay. So it's like if the camera has to think it's in focus for it to actually shoot, which would be focus. And then there's like a middle ground of like, if the camera thinks it's in focus, but it'll still prioritize shooting. I leave it on release because I've just found that it's more with DSLRs than these mirrorless cameras. But sometimes it was like in focus enough and I wanted it to shoot. I didn't want to like press the shutter and not have the damn thing shoot because the camera didn't think it was in focus. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've always been on release for that. And then this I've just left in the middle, which is like if something goes in between. So
like a tree or something.
Yeah, exactly. I've played with that occasionally, but like I gotta say, I don't know. Dude, these mirrorless cameras are so good with everything. I'm like,
so good.
I can't imagine like changing that one little setting is going to be like, oh my gosh, now I'm nailing everything. I feel like it already is.
Yeah, no.
I don't feel like I'm missing a bunch of stuff anyway,
No. So I guess to explain that a little bit further, like say you're doing in-flight stuff and then all of a sudden as you're tracking along, like a tree kind of comes into view. Like there's supposed to be a delay that the camera will search for another subject to kind of lock onto, that it should kind of stay on the subject. Yeah. So you can kind of mess with how quick it'll jump from one subject to the next. I usually leave it in the middle. So
yeah. Yep. Same here. And then we got all that stuff, whatever. AF activation is on the shutter button for me. Same for you, right? Yeah. Yeah, we don't do the back button. We're not that back button crew.
Nope. Never been.
I've limited just a couple of my focus area modes just because I don't use them, but I do actually play around with a bunch of them, so a bunch of them are in there. And then let's see. I'm trying to see if there's anything else like I actually change here. Focus peaking. I play with that with the manual focus lenses I do have, so I do have that set to yellow, which seems to be like a better color, and then I'll change the peak level depending on what I'm shooting. Like if it's a low contrast scene, I'll up the peak level so it shows a little bit better, but if it's high contrast, I'll lower it so I don't see as much of it taking over the screen. So that's basically the way I think about that. But again, I do all of that from like this eye menu here. Like I have like the peaking, where is it? Right there. So I can change all those settings without having to dive into this menu to mess with all that stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Easy exposure compensation. That's another big one for me. It's on auto reset, and that's for aperture priority. So when you're in aperture priority with auto ISO, I don't have to press the plus minus button to enable exposure compensation. I can just roll my thumb. And then I have it on auto reset so that as the camera meter times out, which is after like, I don't know, 30 seconds, a minute, whatever I have it set, it'll auto reset back to 0. So it won't stay on some crazy exposure compensation for like the next thing I walk to, you know? So that's why I do it that way. But I do know some people want to make sure it stays where they left it. And so you would just put it on. And then if it's on off, you have to press the button every time to change it, which to me doesn't make, I don't know why you'd want to do that, but you know, hey, let's see, gosh. Yeah. I'm trying to think of any of this other stuff. Like most of this stuff is all just pretty standard. And like pre-release capture, that's pre-capture. Like we could do a whole section on just that, and auto capture, like it'd take forever. So I don't think we can do a whole, you know, every single thing on this stuff. Yeah. View mode. Yep. That's the one right there, right? So it's D10 on the Z9. I forget I think it's different on the Z8 and the other models, but this setting is somewhere in every one of them. Show effects of settings. So the exposure is going to match whatever your settings are. So as you expose lighter, the viewfinder gets lighter. As you expose darker, the viewfinder gets darker. All right. Adjust for ease of viewing just means turn it into a DSLR. Doesn't match your settings anymore. You can always see clearly. And do you want to explain when we use that, Brad?
Yeah, so basically more high contrast situations, like especially if you're shooting like backlit stuff into the light, you know, you're darkening your exposure down because your exposure for like, you know, in some of those cases when I was shooting the bokeh coming off the water glistening, like everything looks super, super dark. So like even your camera, you'll find will even struggle then for focusing on the bird, because if you can barely see the bird in it, the cameras can't find the eye or whatever. So basically if you turn that off to kind of go back to like DSLR kind of days, now it's not showing what you're actually exposing or how you're exposing for. Now you're getting just this like bright scene all of a sudden. So it's fantastic for like dialing everything in, making sure you've got all your settings right for that kind of like underexpose or like that contrasty scene. Flip it off, and now you can you'll find your camera grab focus better. You can see what you're composing a little bit better if it's super, super dark, and then just shoot away. And it's so great because I think Ray and I both, I'm sure we might talk about this, but we have it like as on one of like the FN buttons or somewhere else as like a little button. So we just like click it, turns it on, click it, turns it off. So I'm constantly toggling back and forth in this, especially like I said, if you're in a contrasty scene. Yeah,
I do it so much that sometimes I have to check it. I'm like, I don't remember where I left it.
Same.
Because I don't think there's an indicator in the viewfinder, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know. I've never looked.
I don't think there is. So I'll just have to like crank the shutter speed just to see if it changes with me, you know. But yeah, for me, I have it on this display button on the back because that by default would change like the different views through the viewfinder or on the back of the screen, like you know, if there's a histogram there or other settings or less settings and stuff like that. I never change it. I have what I like. I have the settings I like. I don't change it. And so that display button is perfect for me because I was already using all 3 other function buttons for something. But in any case, putting it on a button is just amazing. It's just a toggle. So then as we're shooting, you just tap it. And then it's like, just like you said, you know, and to explain just a little bit more, the reason we're doing that most of the time is we're shooting into these bright, like sparkly bokeh scenes, so the sun's shining off the water and stuff, and if we don't expose dark enough for those, they're going to overexpose and you're never getting that detail back. So we expose for the brightest thing in the image, which means a lot of times the bird is so dark you can't even see what the heck's happening, but we know we can recover it in post. So that's why we use that, and dude, we use it all the time. And I'm telling you, man, every shooter I've shown that to has been like, this is a game changer. Like they're like, I use it all the time now. Yeah.
And even
So,
I remember way back when you had mentioned that you had put it on like an actual button to toggle on and off. I was like, I'm like, yeah, this makes sense. Like I'm using it so much. I kept going into the menus or whatever and changing it. And I'm like, yeah, this works way better.
Yeah. So, let's see. Everything else here, pretty straightforward. Yeah, I don't know. High FPS viewfinder display. I do have that on, so it's a higher frame rate in the viewfinder, so you get less like stuttery view. I think it takes up a little bit more battery, but on these things, who cares? The battery is just amazing, and I just always want that like cleaner viewfinder. This is all flash stuff, so I think we can skip that. And then here, this we're not going to go through this, but basically customize the iMenu, put in there all the things you want to use in that iMenu, and be able to get to change really quickly. I did learn this tip from somebody on YouTube recently, which was like when you're shooting, if you press the iMenu, and this is like one section that I'm changing a lot, is that AF area mode. You don't even have to go into it, right? So rotate your front wheel and look, it changes like the mode up top. So see, I'm like bird, animal. I didn't even press anything. All I did was I press I, it's there, right? That's where I left it. Rotate the front wheel does that, and the back wheel will do all the different things, right? So the different modes. So there's my 3D. Cool. And then you don't have to press OK. You just tap your shutter button, and you're actively right in that. Yep. I don't have a lens mounted right now, guys, so that's why you're seeing just that little black or that little red rectangle there. But yeah, that was a really nice shortcut that I didn't know existed until just like a couple of weeks ago. So cool. I unfortunately can't remember who told me that.
We're all learning today.
Yeah, dude, constantly, man. And then one of our clients on a workshop recently just told me about, oh gosh, where was it? You know what? We must have went past it. Oh no, maybe it's here. Yeah, it is here. So we'll keep going here. Customize controls. This is where you customize all those function buttons. So for me, function 1, the top button, gives me single point autofocus on the fly. So I'm usually in 3D, but if that messes up, sometimes I just want that single point, get me there. And I've always had my AF on button set to lock focus. So I can be on single point by holding function 1, focus on what I want, and then I hold my thumb down, it locks my focus, and I can still recompose. So I can shoot just like I did with DSLR, which is great. So I have that on the fly. For me then, function 2 is recall shooting function. So this is now my action mode. And so I have it set to, let's see, go to manual, 2,000th of a second at 2.8 if the lens can handle it, auto ISO, and then just like all the standard metering stuff. So basically it's just jumping me up to there. Oh, and I think it changes to, I guess it stays 3D. That's fine. So anyway, it'll just jump me up to those action settings real quick on the fly. And then I tap the button again and I'm back to whatever I was shooting before. So gotcha. I dig that. And then function 3, and the reason I have it as function 3 is on the front of the camera here. I'll show you why. So here's function 3 down here. This is probably the thing I use the most. That's the function button I use probably the most on my camera. Okay. And that is recall focus. So I have my focus preset saved somewhere close. So if I'm trying to focus on something, I miss, it hits the background and it gets stuck back there. I hit that function 3 button, my focus comes back close to me, and I can try and grab my subject again. The reason I have it on function 3 is that's the easiest button to get to when I go vertical. So I can still get to it when I'm shooting vertically. Because if I set either of the other two, it's just too far of a stretch for me to get to. It just doesn't work out. Gotcha. And so, yeah, that's exactly why I have that set there. And yeah, guys, I use it on every lens I own. I use it all the time. But do you use that much?
I don't. I mess with it for a while, and I just like, there's so many times I just forget to kind of set it, because like if you're switching lenses, you got to reset it afterwards. So I constantly find that I just forget to actually do it. Yeah.
I think it really does take that. You got to create a habit out of it, because Emily, same thing. Like she's tried a few times. She's like, I just can't be bothered to like make it muscle memory. But I have to say, like for me, I can't shoot without it. I really can't. I'm so used to now being able to just misfocus and then tap that button and get it right back and then grab my subject without having to like fumble with like focus ring or focus on something else or any of that stuff.
Yeah, I found like when I'm doing like warblers, songbirds, it kind of comes to me a little bit more. So then I'm like, as I'm like walking out to kind of like start that morning, I'm like, okay, wait, now pre-focus somewhere.
That's
because,
what I do.
You know, you're in a more wooded area, like there's more chance you're going to slip focus, cut on the background. So those scenarios I find, I do try to do it more there.
Okay. Yeah, cool. ISO button, still ISO. And then, like I said, this display button I set to, there you can see it says cycle live view info. Oh, I guess that's the default, but I have it set to that view mode thing. And then everything else is pretty much standard there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's that. And then, here's this other new control. So one of our clients just gave us this, and it is right down here, this one. Release button to use dial. And so here's the way this works, right? Normally you had to press and hold the ISO button to change the ISO, right? But now with that on, all you have to do is like, here, I'll show the top of the camera, right? So I'll tap ISO, and there, ISO is active now. So I can just change it like that without having to keep my finger held on there. And then once I have it where I want, all I have to do is just start pressing to shoot, and it's set, right? So I can press ISO, rotate it down to 200, and then just start shooting, and away we go. So I just changed that like 2 days ago, so it's not a habit yet. I don't know if I'm gonna like it better. I think I will, but I'm gonna.
I think
I'm gonna give that a shot. Yeah. And then I think that's kind of about it. Everything else is video focused, so again, we'll just stay out of that, but that's pretty much it. Oh, the one other thing I do is the My Menu. I do put stuff in there. So I have ISO, well, you can see what I got there, right? ISO sensitivity settings, since I do change those semi-regularly, I want that as a quick shortcut, and then format the cards, camera sounds. I turn them on and off for when I'm recording my behind the scenes, because I want people to know when I'm shooting. Other than that, I always leave it silent. You do too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Love some silent shooting.
I just leave it silent. I make my own sounds.
Yeah. That'd be the best. Is it like a laser sound?
Just pew, 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 pew. Yeah, it's like, imagine.
Oh man, that's really good. I still have this in here because that used to be the way I would get to that view mode before that, and then I put auto capture in there. And then limit monitor mode selection. That's something for when I was doing stuff in a housing, but not this particular camera. So it just kind of, I match my cameras all up as much as possible. So that's
makes sense.
Pretty much it, guys. I think that's, I think that's about everything there as far as like what we changed. My frame rate is set at 6 frames a second all the time. That's pretty much what I shoot. How about you?
10 I went up to.
Okay. All right.
I rarely shoot the high unless it's like super action or there's like a bunch of in-flight stuff happening and I want like that perfect wing position, then I'll do it. But that's exactly what I'll do. And then I'm trying to think, I'm just looking at some of the other buttons up here. I don't ever mess with bracketing. Oh, you know what I did customize? I customized my record button here to be the mode switch. So for example, right now it's in manual, right? So if I hit that and hold it, let me try and get my finger in here. I can change to aperture priority, shutter priority, program and manual, without having to, because over here it used to have to be a 2-button thing. Yeah. And so there's a lot of times when I'm shooting, I'm like, you know what, my aperture priority isn't working. I want to go manual. Yeah. And now it's just a 1-finger thing because that record button wasn't doing anything for me in stills. So I did change that. I haven't done that.
Yeah, so it's nice, just like a 1-button or one-handed thing, and I can do it while I'm shooting. Because here's the thing, guys, and I know Brad can reiterate this, right? Every single one of the things that we're doing, all these customizations for the most part, outside of like focus and stuff like that, it's all about trying to be able to change every single setting you want to change while your eye is in that viewfinder. Yep. I do not want to take my eye out of that viewfinder. Every single time I have to take my eye out of the viewfinder to change anything, it's a slowdown. It's a potential miss moment. It's like requires me to refine my subject. And so that is like customize your camera the way you want. I don't think it's so personal to everybody. I don't know that anybody should really necessarily follow what we do exactly. But maybe the reasoning of why we're doing some of it. But figure out the settings you change a lot and get them on a button or in a shortcut menu that you can access by default with your finger without taking your eye out of that viewfinder, because that is going to make the biggest difference in your shooting than almost anything else you can do with your camera.
Definitely agree 100%.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, because if you're fumbling around trying to find a setting or trying to change something, guaranteed is when action's going to happen. Yeah. Wing flap's going to happen, something that you're like, oh, I wish. Yeah.
And when it's those fleeting moments where the bird is only in that spot for a split second,
right,
and you have to change a setting, and I've seen it happen so many times with people I've taken out in workshops, and they do this, right? Like you watch, they're shooting, and then they have to go like this, and the bird is gone, right? That's it. Yep. It's just, it's a missed moment over and over and over again. And it's, you know, I've recently been telling some of my mentorship students, like, I know, like, go in your backyard and start practicing these things when there's nothing there. Make the muscle memory happen. And it's going to be slow at first. You're going to be fumbling around with your thumb or your finger or trying to figure out where it is. But trust us, once it becomes muscle memory, your body just starts doing, your hand just starts knowing where to go. You don't even have to think about it.
Definitely.
It just knows where the feel of that button is, and you can change it, and you're going to get so many more shots, or at least just be able to dial in your settings better on the shot you're already taking without fumbling around, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely. So, I agree, man.
Cool stuff. All right. That's our deep dive on the Nikon cameras.
Question.
Yeah, it was. So
definitely.
In the comments below, guys, keep the topics coming, or just shoot Brad or I a message if you have something you want us to talk about as far as a topic. We'll keep those lists going and try and get to them. So thanks so much, everybody. It's another long episode. It's fun now.
Oh, it is. Definitely.
Yep. See you next week.
Take care, everyone.